From News Channel 8, this is High School Sports Final.
Hey there! Thanks for joining us for High School Sports Final. I'm your host, Monica McNutt. As always, lots of scores and highlights for us to get to. Basketball, that's my favorite sport. But it's finally over. Now with the weather at least halfway decent and trying to break into spring, we switch over to the matching sports like lacrosse. The Potomac School is trying to make some noise in the MAC, and St. Albans is in the league with Georgetown Prep and Landon, so both teams needing wins. St. Albans in the Potomac School on that nice breezy day that we had on Thursday. Look at the field. All right, Potomac School in the white, moving the ball, one pass, two pass, goal. There you go. That's the way you do it, executing on offense, making it happen. More of the Potomac School this time from around the net. Whoosh, there it is, quick score, count it. St. Albans actually goes on to win this one 9-8. We're turning our attention to lacrosse as well. We just looked at lacrosse. There was a face-off in that one. The Heights and O'Connell, the Heights in the red, that time getting the score. Justin Fitzsimmons of O'Connell, he's the goalie. Watch him this time. Not going to get me this time. Got me once, didn't get me twice. The Heights go on to win this one 11-7. Gonzaga and Good Counsel, Brendan Gibson right back up the box, and look at Matt Flagg coming around third. He's waved on home, and the throw out at the plate, and Flagg just beats the tag. Gonzaga takes a 7-6 lead in this contest. Then it would be Brendan Gibson. We're going to get to him, though. The sophomore. And to close the deal, he'd have to strike out Gonzaga, and Gonzaga beats Good Counsel 7-6. Lots of games and highlights for us to get to, and we're just getting started as we check out the ladies of Eleanor Roosevelt Raiders, the basketball squad. They had a successful season. They're in studio talking to Pete. We have some time. We'll let them explain why it's two-peat and not repeat. Plus, our game of the night comes from the Diamond, a battle in the WCAC for one of the area's best teams. And don't forget, for the latest scores and highlights of featured games, you can log on to hssportsfinal.com. Welcome back to High School Sports Final. Now, the WCAC is a powerful conference no matter what sport. St. John's trying to stay atop the league standings. Meanwhile, Ironton, the Cardinals, they're coming up good and they're a good up-and-coming squad, excuse me. And that gets us to our game of the night. WCAC Baseball, a pivotal matchup between Ironton and St. John's. All right, the Cadets on the mound here. The pitch from Matt Bardock. Oh, hey, what's up? Hello. I saw that ball come all the way down the line, got well acquainted with it, launches that one. That would bring one home for Ironton and put Matt Bardock on second base. Very next play, though, Bardock, indecisiveness will kill you. Couldn't get between second base and third, so he is out. Ironton now, Brian Hoffman on the bump. Cadets pop this one up. Defense can't quite wrangle it. Cadets dive into third base and advance. Safe. Cadets at bat again. Closing this one. Well acquainted once again. And St. John's goes on to win this one 11-1. Remember, you can go to our Facebook page at High School Sports Final to select your choice for Play of the Week. Our first Play of the Week comes from lacrosse. The Potomac School versus O'Connell. Potomac School in the white on this one, moving the ball. We love passing with efficiency. 1-2 score. Nice play there, fellas. All right, while the sun is shining in Vieira, Florida, some Nats are looking to shine themselves and crack a national roster. Guys like D.C. native Emmanuel Burris. Here's our Robert Burton with a look inside this local kid's story.
It's been a long journey for the former Wilson High School star Emmanuel Burris, and it all started 9 years ago when he was drafted by the San Francisco Giants.
I've never been to California. Other than that, I'm excited.
Now Burris has made it back home and has a shot at breaking the Nationals roster.
Excitement is an understatement right now for me.
For Burris, playing for his hometown team would be nothing short of a dream come true.
When I got done with high school and went off to college and the Nationals came to D.C., that was my #1 priority. I was, always had that dream that I'd be able to play in D.C. for the Nationals. And, right now being in camp is the closest thing I had to it, but, hopefully things will go good.
And not only would his family get more opportunities to see him play, but they'd watch him compete with the World Series contender.
To be able to be out here and to even consider myself helping them to try to get that, that goal is incredible.
That would be incredible. Of course, you welcome the hometown guys back, right? All right, more to come on High School Sports Final. Thanks for that one, Robert. The champs are here. The Eleanor Roosevelt girls basketball team just won the title. So what do they do next? They come on in studio and chat with me about it on High School Sports Final. And you have the chance to show us who has the most energetic and spirited high school. Log on to WJLA.com/spirit and tell us why your school is the best. Welcome back to High School Sports Final. The Eleanor Roosevelt program has certainly, without a doubt, had an incredible run. Coach Delton Fuller has had those Raider girls getting it done all season long, repeating as state champions, and they've done so with a wealth of talent, including star Kyla Charles and Deja Davis. They join us now in studio to talk about their repeat as Maryland State 4A champions. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, so I have to ask you, while we were covering football this fall, a lot of the fellas were saying two-peat. Is that the same for you guys?
Yes.
Where did two-peat come from, y'all? Somebody help me. No? Two-peat, you don't, why is it two-peat? It's a repeat.
Well, two-peat maybe because 2 state championships.
That's past my generation. That's a generation gap. Anyway, on to you guys. Congratulations. They always say getting the second championship is much harder than the first. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. The semifinal game was tough to get to the championship. So it was harder than last year because it was a good matchup throughout the whole game until we kind of went on a run the fourth quarter.
So Deja, the other common question then is, does experience propel you? Did you think that you guys were better off this season having had the experience last year?
I mean, I think it helped, of course, because the more experience, the more, you get stuff done, I guess.
But you had a bullseye on your back all year long. Everybody wants to go up against the best and beat the best. Did you feel that throughout the course of the season, Kyla?
We were definitely reminded that, so we weren't lax. But it was great, kind of like a push, that if we were lax, we can lose, and then everybody would be so happy. So we had to keep it, going, and it was a good having been there before. It was a good experience because we knew how the court was, how big, running back and forth. So we were, preparing for that all season.
All right, now I remember last year you guys said that there was a moment that kind of stuck with you, that drove you guys. Was there a moment from last season that drove you this year?
I feel us winning it was kind of the moment, and we just wanted to get back to that point because it was just a great experience.
All right, Deja, it couldn't have been all business all season long, though. I mean, what's it been like as a team? Did you guys have fun? Did you enjoy the ride?
Yeah, we had fun in practices. We had moments where we could just joke around, but then we got to get back to business. So it wasn't all serious.
What's a running Eleanor Roosevelt Raiders girls joke that we can share with the public? Because, not everything is to be shared with the public.
I don't know.
Is there a joke? I mean, did you guys?
Have so many jokes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So give me an example. Like last week we had visitation on, and one of their words for the season was bucket god, which I thought was okay because they were going to get so many buckets. Did you guys have a word? Did you have a joke like that?
Oh, quick as a cat.
Yeah, quick as a cat.
Quick as a cat. You got to explain. You can't just say it.
That's just something Coach Fuller says when somebody somebody does like a good player really fast to get a steal, he'd be like quick as a cat. So we just had that all year. It was funny.
Quick as a cat. Quick as a cat. That's cute. All right. Speaking of Coach Fuller, what was it like, you know, working with him this season? What was his coaching style?
He wants us to push, but then when we don't have it, we're kind of rushing, slow it down. So it was fun this season. I mean, having playing with him before, it was kind of the same. We had a nice close bond throughout the whole season with the team and the coaches.
As seniors, ladies, what do you think you'll miss the most? Or I'm sorry, not a senior Kyla. As a senior Deja, what do you think you'll miss the most?
Just playing with them. This is only my second year with Roosevelt, so I will miss the team, like how close we are. Like, I'm just going to miss that a lot.
All right, so as a rising senior, Kyla, 2 times now, obviously folks are still gunning for you guys. I'm sure you intend to win a third next year. I mean, what is your mindset in terms of leading this group now?
I just want to continue pushing them and encouraging them so we can hopefully get back to where we were last year and the year before and go back to states. And the plan is to win it if we get up there. So.
All right, so you guys are 2 pieces of an incredible team. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give some shout outs to your fellow teammates or your coaches or your school or the cheerleaders or whoever you want to shout out. You got people you want to shout out?
The whole team.
Yeah, you can't single nobody out.
Go ahead, name them all out. Go ahead.
Jayla, Tolu, Alana,
Jasmine, Asia, Yemi, Brunson, everybody.
Cheerleaders, all of them.
Coach Fuller, Coach T. Miss Patricia,
hey,
right over there. Everybody.
All right, so obviously you guys had an incredible season. What do you think what it means for, I think you guys had a decent following, girls basketball in this area. Is it still something to be rivaled with across the country?
Yes.
Yes, why?
There's a lot of talent in the DMV area. Not everybody hears about it, but if you see the different games and the tournaments down here, you'll see a lot of girls playing, and even on the boys' side, a lot of competition.
Now, I know we see it a lot on the boys' side that the guys go private schools. As a public school, but Roosevelt has a good reputation for girls basketball, but as a public school, do you guys kind of feel like that chip on your shoulder to prove that we get it done too and we don't necessarily, I won't say private schools go recruit their kids because I went to a private school, but you know what I mean. Is there that little bit of chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, because people probably think because we're a public school, we're not as good as the private schools, but we want to show them and prove them wrong.
I think you proved everybody wrong. State champs?
Yes.
How sweet was it? Can you give me a word to summarize the season?
Successful.
It was very practical. Kind of got a word?
Just fun.
Fun. A successful, fun season. Deja, you're off to North Carolina Wesleyan.
Yes.
Senior year coming up. Congratulations, ladies. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. We might see you here next year, Kyla. We'll see what happens. Everybody's got to stay tuned for next season. All right, still more as we wrap up this edition of High School Sports Final. We've got dunks, dives, blocks, goals. This edition of Plays of the Week is right after the break. And we'll take a final look at the basketball season with a panel of our experts. A pan. All right, it's time for us to honor one of the best and brightest stars in our area. It's our Athlete of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Itility. This week, ABC7's Tim Brandt has our Athlete of the Week.
At 6'1", Monica McNutt is a presence on the floor for the Tartans of Holy Cross. Tuesday night, she scored 17 points and pulled down 15 rebounds to lead Holy Cross to a stunning 21-point win over powerhouse Bishop McNamara. The latest in a string of big wins that could make the Tartans the team to beat in the WCAC.
We've been beaten up in our conference for the past 2 years, and I know the seniors especially are tired of being beat down, so we're working extra hard to do what we have to do to get all the way to the WCAC championship.
And keeping with the current area trend, Monica is already signed, sealed, and delivered to Georgetown University.
It was important for me to have a strong academic base because when it's all said and done, I want to have something to fall back on. And at Georgetown, I know I'm going to be pushed athletically and academically.
So congratulations to Monica McNutt, our Athlete of the Week.
Okay, so I'm going through some things here, folks. That was from Tim Brandt, and quite the flashback from a few years ago. Yeah, okay, so we've heard from the girl champs in Maryland, but let's get an overall review of the basketball season from our area. Brian Kapoor, he makes up the panel all by himself. He covers high school sports for the Northwest Current. Brian, thank you for being our entire panel. That was hilarious. I wasn't expecting that. Shout out to you, Winston and Hilton. Anyway, panel, what a year we've had in high school basketball.
I'm so sad that it's over because you walk into a gym for basketball, you never know who's going to win. With the spring sports, you kind of have an idea of who's going to be where. Basketball season, you never know. And when it came down to the finals, you just never knew. Although I did pick the WCAC final from the get-go, and I had Gonzaga being DeMatha. So,
do we have that on tape somewhere, Brian picking Gonzaga and not being the bad luck charm like you were in football?
I can pick basketball. Football is where I struggle.
All right, cool. So you talked about it. Just give me some players in this area that kind of stand out for you in the 2014-2015 season.
Well, looking at Maryland, looking at DeMatha, going with the WCAC Player of the Year, Markelle Fultz had an amazing season. Just really flashed and came on the radar for the Stags. A team that was loaded, different guys would carry the load on different nights, but Fultz, game in and game out, was a standout. Looking at Virginia, got to go with Oak Hill's Dwayne Bacon, and not just because he brought the sizzle with that bacon. Saw him play at DeMatha at the Takeover Hoops Fest, and he did such a great job in that game, kept it up, got the Gatorade Player of the Year. And then looking at DC, I know the Gatorade Player of the Year for that went to Bryant Crawford. I'm going to go a little different route. I'm going to stay on the same team. Sam Miller had a great season, the center for them. You came to a couple games, and he had all those blocks, in addition to a bunch of points. They don't win the league without him in the fold.
I mean, in particular, in that championship game, which you had listed as your best game, Sam Miller just kind of went off in that overtime period.
Yeah. 2 overtimes. I believe the first overtime period, he scored all the points. And then for a moment, followed by that last couple of minutes, game was in hand for Gonzaga, and you see the senior Bryant Crawford, who struggled to buy into the system with Gonzaga at times, was benched at times, but it all came together at the end, and when it mattered most, he delivered, and you saw him on the bench, his face on his hands, looking like you, tearing up, crying, bawling, and it was just because of the moment, and it was great to see a kid come full circle like that.
I know before we turn the page to the next kind of list of topics, Markelle Fultz, we had Coach on last week, Coach Jones of DeMatha. He was raving about that kid in terms of the commitment that he makes. What do you see for him next year in that DeMatha squad?
Next year at DeMatha, I mean, they are a young team. They're loaded. They'll be right back. And if you want to save the tape, I think they'll be in the championship next year.
Save the tape. Y'all heard it. Brian Kapoor calling it right here, right now. All right, so let's turn the page, Brian. Best team. I mean, individuals are nice, but a team obviously gets it done. Who's your best team?
Best team. I know we talk about the guys a lot, but there was one team that was consistent all year. And I got to give the shout out to the Visitation Bucket Gods.
The Bucket Gods, they were here, by the way.
I gotta do that because they had such a great year. From start to finish, I thought they were robbed of the #1 spot in the rankings locally. I thought they were the #1 team. In the championship game, you were there. They hold down Alexis Gray, who I think could beat Stephen Curry in a 3-point shot contest. They hold her down scoreless through 3 quarters. Senior Kate Delaney comes up big, 22 points. Alexis gets hot down the stretch. They end up beating St. John's, and they'd been held down by St. John's for so long. They finally beat them, get that big moment, and there were none storming the court.
There were none storming the court. That just makes it so much more awesome. All right, so that's your team. I'm assuming the coach has to correlate with them.
Yeah, I'm going with Mike McCarthy, the Visitation coach. He did such a great job this season, especially against National Cathedral, a very tough team. Marta Snezik, probably the best girls player in the area. Bella Ollery, who you'll hear more of, her dad went to Duke. She was a junior. Probably the 2 best players on the floor when they played against Visitation. And then McCarthy did such a good job using his depth. He might have had the next 8 best players, and he made sure to use them in those games. And then all of a sudden, the Cathedral players would get tired, lack of depth, and it's just those little things that McCarthy does, has a great system year in and year out. They weren't supposed to be this good. They graduated a couple great players before this season, and a lot of people had them down. So this year they come back and have the best season in school history.
All right, so we talked up this season, and obviously we enjoyed it, but is there somebody we mentioned, is there a player, a coach, a team that we should be talking about that maybe didn't get enough love this season?
I think the guy you want to talk about, especially going into next year, Luca Garza out of Murray, probably the most improved player I saw. He was always a tall, lanky kid. This year, he finally kind of grew into his body, and he could ball, he could shoot, and he's only a sophomore.
Wow.
And he's in the post, big-time talent. So I would watch for him and Murray.
Good stuff. All right, Brian. Personally, I know you got your best moment was that double overtime game, but personally, was there a best picture? Oh, I have an idea on your best picture from the season. The DeMatha picture that kind of went semi-viral national?
I guess DJ Harvey smacking his head on the backboard. You don't have that too often. I also enjoyed that Bryant Crawford picture we talked about. a lot of good moments. Got to follow me on Instagram, bkapoor22, for all those pictures.
We're all about the social media, and the pictures are fantastic. Brian, well, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, Monica.
That's it, I think, for this edition of High School Sports Final. Don't forget, you can catch every single highlight and story that you saw tonight on our webpage, hssportsfinal.com, plus updates on games during the week. Like us on Facebook and vote for your play of the week. For all the cast and crew, who I love dearly, I'm Monica McNutt. I'll see you again next week.